Are you prepared for the end of the world as we know it? When disaster strikes, will you have a bug-out vehicle that can not only take you to where you need to go, but one that also provides a place of adequate shelter and rest? Perhaps something you can also make real use of before the apocalypse. These are the questions I also posed to myself before making this video and a big purchasing decision. If you've seen my recent videos on the downsides of a backpack bug-out and how to get somewhere secure, you'll have an idea of the type of choice I needed to make. Was it this, or something else? But that's me. What about you? When the world as we know it comes to an end, will you be ready to roll out? Hello, fellow mutants. Before I reveal the full scope of my choice of bug-out vehicle, I thought I'd start with what I have right now, which of course influences my choice since I have it fully paid off and it's still relatively new. And let me make a point of mentioning that before we start. This is my choice, which may or may not work for you. If you have a 1996 Dodge Neon, my choice probably wouldn't make sense to you without changing your vehicle entirely. So, you may have seen my Ford F-150 pickup in some images in my videos previously. I chose this vehicle a few years ago with a specific objective. I wanted a vehicle that could handle the sometimes rough dirt roads and terrain around Sierra Blanca, Texas in the Chihuahuan Desert, and I wanted to be able to carry cargo such as water and other supplies I need in case I had to bug out. Optimally, I also wanted to be able to tow a travel trailer of some sort, at least until I could build myself a better permanent shelter on one of my plots of land. So I got a Ford FX4 F-150, which is basically a version of their 4x4 with upgraded shocks, skid plates, and an electronic locking differential. I also got a trailing package, and perhaps most impactfully, for my recent choice of bug-out upgrade, to give a hint, I got the payload package. At the time, I wanted the payload package to haul a large water tank, which I currently have hidden in the bed of my truck under a vinyl tonneau cover, and it's been there for the last few years. Water's life in the desert after all, and I've used it more than a few times. Perhaps my only regret with the Ford in hindsight is the 5.5-foot short bed, which I'd gladly swap out next time for a longer bed, for reasons which I'll explain in a bit. Back to the trailering idea. For about 20 years, I've looked at different types of campers and RVs and considered many different styles, from full motorhomes to pop-up campers to small all-fiberglass campers like the Scamp or Casita. I've been in several, but never bit the bullet and got one. Several things played against just buying an inexpensive generic travel trailer like this one, but the biggest obstacle was that I didn't have a place to store it. And as a bug-out vehicle, you want to be ready quickly, not driving through town to an RV storage lot. Another consideration was being able to tow such a travel trailer out to land I have in West Texas. The roads out there are bumpy dirt paths, and occasionally there's a gully wash or a crevasse that you'll have to navigate around. Despite having a 4x4 full-size pickup, I would have to worry about whether or not a wheeled trailer could handle the same terrain, especially a long one with small wheels. I've seen people towing large water tanks on trailers, so it would probably be okay, but I'd be nervously checking behind the whole way in. I also don't have a decent turnaround driveway on my land yet, so I drive right onto a part of my land I cleared just enough so the creosote bushes don't tear up my paint, and then straight back out again. Not really something I'd relish doing with a trailer, though I certainly could clear more land for a large semicircle driveway. One other thing I learned after several trips out to my land in West Texas was that there are some spots on the long drive on dirt roads that would make pulling anything heavy a potential challenge, especially after rains turn the ground into mud from time to time. This happened once when I had planned overnight camping. I was glad I did not have a trailer with me, at least not a typical narrow, smooth-wheeled type. My land is so remote that needing a tow is something I want to avoid. This had me looking at rough and tumble type off-road trailers. You know, the type that says overland or adventure on the side. Not only were those very expensive, but many seemed to be less of a getaway and more of a way to bring more tools and power to a site for some sort of off-road adventure or base camp for the X Games, or maybe taking your Jeep on some rough mountain trail. Most offered sleeping accommodations, but were not really a place to hang out and away from desert sun and heat for any extended period of time. Most of the amenities were meant to be accessed from panels on the outside or unfolded into exposed workstations. Keep in mind that the Chihuahuan Desert can be a very dusty place sometimes, so not sure I'd want exposed anything. I also looked at pop-up trailer campers, and a few seemed to fit the bill, like the one in the photo here. It was at that point that I noticed, hey, isn't that a truck camper? Why not just put one on my truck? It would leave my hitch open to towing other things. The only thing I would lose by giving up my truck bed would be the current water tank, but I could fit one, perhaps the same one, on a hitch basket. Or, at the very least, some of my aquatainer cubes, if that proved to be too big or heavy. A truck camper would also come with its own water tank and potentially even some exterior jerry can type containers if configured that way, and if needed I was always able to put my hitch basket on behind the camper and tow a little bit more. 35-gallon tank could live on in a more permanent spot in my land, filled for emergencies or for my new hobby of desert gardening. But there was one more hurdle, and a rather practical and unavoidable one. Where I currently work and live, halfway across Texas, I have no place to put a trailer in my driveway. So, a truck camper, or a very small pop-up trailer that I could fit in my garage, were my only real options. More and more, a truck camper started to look like the way to go. I also wanted the use cases for the camper to extend beyond just pop-up adventures in the desert or bug-out situations. If built the right way, a truck camper could kill a few birds with one stone, so to speak. It would save me the expense of walling off a home office for when my boys are making too much noise when I'm working, or building an insulated, air-conditioned shed in the backyard, which has also been something I've entertained. These things would further help me justify my purchase, because even the least expensive campers are several $1,000s these days. It could be something that I could sit down in with my laptop if parked in my in-laws' driveway during a visit across country and get some work done, taking only the days off or just the weekends I needed to drive across country. Or for that matter, use it in my own driveway. If needed, as a place to record videos like this one. Note that I said I also wanted a place to sit down in and pop open my laptop, not spend time with a crank every time extending the roof on a pop-up camper. In any case, a truck camper would be a big step up from spending an hour building and tearing down camp each time I go out to my bug-out property, giving me time to work on improving or clearing land during my visits instead. I could even arrive on the land at dusk or even at night, rather than worrying about the time I would need to spend putting up a tent, sleeping bags, and unloading gear before sundown. In many ways, a truck camper was going to save me time and money. Well, at least that's how I like to justify it. Don't we all when we make a big purchase? That said, I didn't want the cost to exceed the cost of some of the other projects I mentioned by too much, And I also didn't want something massive or top-heavy. A small, traditional truck camper seemed to meet my needs. Something to sleep a few people tightly in an emergency situation, but small enough to sit unobtrusively in the back of my pickup. Probably a custom one, and if possible, brand new. And one of some reputation of quality, so I didn't have a host of hidden maintenance issues to worry about in the middle of nowhere. I'll admit I was leery about the internal space of truck campers and if it was really the right answer for me and my family. From the outsides, the one I looked at appeared so small, while the interiors seemed to defy logic, by using space over the edge of the truck bed walls creatively, for example. You've probably seen truck campers before, but perhaps not quite like the one I chose, so allow me a bit of time to touch on the history and value of truck campers, especially for my situation. Truck campers have been around since the early 1900s, but they didn't really take off until the 1950s when recreational vehicles started to gain popularity. The first truck campers were heavy and difficult to handle, and they often required a lot of work to set up and take down. Many were essentially small cabins mounted in the back of a truck and used primarily for hunting and fishing trips. In the 1960s and 70s, improvements were made to truck campers that made them more comfortable and convenient. They became lighter in weight and easier to set up and take down, and they started to feature amenities like sleeping areas, kitchens, and bathrooms. Some were made with fiberglass, though this seemed to be a trend that has come and mostly gone. In the 1980s and 90s, truck campers continued to evolve with improvements made to their construction and insulation and overall design. They became more luxurious with features like air conditioning, televisions, and built-in generators. They also became more affordable, which made them accessible to a wider range of people. On the flip side, truck toppers, truck caps, or camper shells evolved in a different way, taking an opposite minimalistic approach, with perhaps the most famous brand of those being Lear. Today, truck campers are available in a variety of sizes and styles, from basic no-frills model to high-end luxury models. They are popular among outdoor enthusiasts who enjoy camping, hunting, fishing, and other outdoor activities, as well as people who want a versatile and convenient alternative to a traditional RV. Some of the aforementioned truck toppers and shells straddle the line a bit, and soft side pop-up tent variants are also popular recently. In the end, I weighed all the pros and cons and was drawn to a hard-side, traditional wood-framed, bed-mounted truck camper. Here's some reasons I went this direction. Maneuverability. A truck camper mounted directly into a truck's bed makes it easier to maneuver on rough terrain compared to a travel trailer that's being towed behind a truck. Camper and the truck move as a single unit, providing greater stability and control when navigating tight turns and steep inclines. Of course, a very top-heavy truck camper would negate some of these advantages. An overly large one, or one that is simply too heavy for the truck, exceeding the payload rating. In the end, however, they share the same wheels and suspension with the trucks, and that alone is a weight saver. Durability. Most truck campers are designed to withstand the rigors of off-road travel. While some modern campers are made of aluminum and novel construction techniques, those still built with traditional wood framing methods have decades of experience in refining their designs to last. Accessibility. A truck camper allows you to go places that a travel trailer cannot, such as narrow mountain roads, backcountry trails, and remote camping spots that may not have RV-friendly access. With a truck camper, you can explore more off-the-beaten-path destinations and have a more authentic, immersive experience. Fuel efficiency. Truck campers are often lighter than travel trailers since they don't need their own wheels and axles, which means that they require less fuel to carry around. This can be especially beneficial if you are traveling long distances or off-roading in remote areas where fuel stations may be scarce, such as Sierra Blanca. One exception is designs of truck campers that are particularly non-aerodynamic or tall. Truck campers offer more flexibility than a travel trailer when it comes to parking and storage. With a slide-in truck camper, you can park in a regular parking space or driveway, which is not possible with a travel trailer. Additionally, when you arrive at your destination, you can simply unload or even remove the camper from the truck and use the truck to explore the area or keep the camper on, either way. One of the tenets of my survival and bug-out planning is to always be ready to roll out at a moment's notice like the Minutemen of old. That means I was going to need to have the camper on my truck at all times. I was going to need my everyday vehicle to have the camper on it permanently and remain an agile around-town truck. There are a few options for this that have been recently popular, such as this pop-up tent-style camper. But none of these things I considered really fit the bill for what I was looking for in a truck camper. Ultimately, I chose a truck camper from a company with a long history behind it of making custom campers. One that I had actually seen around Texas and had been up close to during the Houston Rodeo Chili Cook-Off many years ago. Yes, I chose and recently ordered a truck camper from Capri Campers. It's on order right now, with about a month of wait time. For the moment, I'll have to settle for videos, photos, and online reviews while I wait for it to be completed. There's no photo available of what I ordered because each one is custom. This kind of camper I felt would pair well with my Ford 4x4, which is my daily driver. And since I wanted something light and reasonably low profile for my off-road excursions, I chose their Cowboy camper, like the model in the image here. It was the perfect solution. Sure, there are bigger and more capable options for the ultimate bug-out experience like the Earth Roamer HD, but not everyone can afford the $1.9 million price tag those command. I can only imagine the monthly payments. The Cowboy is only a tiny fraction of that. Additionally, the Capri camper doesn't scream tactical survivalist truck camper, which I actually think is a good thing to avoid unwanted attention. First glance, it might even look like a truck cap on steroids, implying an empty interior, and the standard blackout shades would prevent peering inside. It has a classic look which owes itself to Capri Camper's long history, and the price of the Cowboy is affordable enough for me to just pay it off in full rather than take out a loan. Since I hate taking out loans, that was a big plus for me. To be sure, the Cowboy model I chose has its limitations and not seen on some of the other larger Capri models, such as a 5-foot standing height, but it is certainly better than some of the rolling coffin adventure trailers I looked at. Since I intend to spend my time inside sitting down, working, or relaxing, it isn't that much of a compromise for me. The Cowboy was the perfect balance of cost and functionality for what I needed. I wanted to keep the price low, so I kept the options at a minimum, but I did add some things that were important to comfort and convenience, like an AC unit, definite must where I work in Southeast Texas, and things that would support my ability to work inside if I needed on a trip. I asked Capri Camper to see if they could work in a desk-like table and seating area, and since they are a custom camper builder and have done such things before, they did me one better by making that area convertible into a bed as well. All within the confines of a 5.5-foot truck bed by shrinking the main bed inside the camper, or that's up against the wall, by a few inches. That and a sink across from the sitting area, a microwave, and a couple other things. For those who aren't familiar, Capri Camper are a family-owned truck camper manufacturer based in Bluffdale, Texas, that has been in business for over 50 years. Capri Camper is known for its lightweight truck bed campers that are designed to fit a wide range of truck models. The Torres brothers founded Capri Camper in 1969, and the company began operations in a small warehouse in what I believe is Joshua, Texas. Over the years, Capri Camper grew to become a well-respected manufacturer of high-quality truck campers. In 2014, Capri Camper was purchased by Pete and Tyson DaCosta, who are now the owners of the company. The DaCostas are native Texans and have brought a new level of enthusiasm and passion to Capri Camper's production of custom handmade campers. I have had the pleasure of talking to Tyson as I've worked through my order, and it has been a pleasure to work with him so far. The company still operates out of its manufacturing facility in Bluffdale, Texas, and their campers, or at least one of their campers, even made it onto the television show Yellowstone recently. When fully loaded with batteries, water for the sink I asked for, and other equipment, the Cowboy model should weigh in at 1,500 pounds or less, which I'll confirm with Capri Camper, which also should be well within my payload limit. Some other Cowboy model options include off-grid capabilities, including a solar panel and battery system, which allow you to power your lights and some appliances and other electronics without the need for external power sources. I considered and ultimately ended up adding this, even though I had already placed the basic order. This makes it an ideal choice for me for camping in Sierra Blanca and potentially for other people in remote locations where access to electricity may be limited, though a few of the appliances such as the air conditioner or microwave would still require some kind of generator or hookup. The model I chose has a standard plug due to the low power requirements, so no need to have an electrician work on any modifications in my garage if I run the cable and plug it in at home, which I do plan to do. In fact, one big reason I chose this model is because, as I mentioned before, it can double as a getaway office when the home has become like a zoo. Well, that's all I have for today. I hope to share more news on the build in the weeks ahead, and of course, eventually a video of the camper itself. And yes, I haven't forgotten, I do need to get on to the next episode of Johnny Apocalypseed, as well as some copper videos. Until next time, it's Copper Mutant, signing out.